Hello students, good afternoon, welcome to our math class today. Today we will pick our lesson from Unit 13 and we will handle sorting and representing data. So data is something that we always deal with in our lives, but how to sort them sometimes become a challenge, and how to represent them for people to understand our data also becomes a challenge. So as young as you are, today we're going to use the block graph to explain how we can sort out data and represent them for people to understand them. So we have a graph here. The graph is called a block graph. That means we are using pieces of blocks to build the data that we have. That is why we have them in numbers. So each row shows you the number of blocks that were used to build it, okay? So this is about data of pets in a particular house. So these people are having pets in their house. So these are the number of cats that they have. So that means they have 6 cats in their house. So we have 6 blocks that we use to build the graph. And in that house they also have fish. That means they have 3 fishes. And how many dogs do they have? They have 5 dogs. And rabbits, they also have 4 rabbits, okay? In some situations, as you study and go further, this side will be changed to be the frequency that will relate to the number of pets. But at your level, we're going to use blocks to indicate how many pets or how many items that we are dealing with. So always, the subject matter of your data is what you see below here, okay? So the subject matter for this data is about pets. So you see the different kinds of pets down here. Okay, there are a few questions that we can find or we can answer using our block graph. 1, how many pets in the block graph? So that is the first question. So how many pets do you see in the graph? Okay, someone will say we see 6 here, 5 here, 3 here, and 4 here. So we need to add this and see the number of pets. No. How many pets means how many kinds, okay, of pets are we dealing with? So we have cats, fish, dog, and rabbit. So that means we have 4 pets that we are dealing with over here, okay? So we write 4. Okay, so 4 pets. So that will be our answer. So let's see the second one. It says, what is the most pets? So most here is the highest. That means what is the kind of pet that is more on the block graph that you see. So most means more. Most means more. So more pets. Which graph do you see more? So you see that on the row of the cats you see 6. Whereas dog is 5, fish is 3, and rabbit is 4. So that means the most are or is the cats. So we will say that the most pets will be cats. Okay, so let's put our answer here, okay? So we'll have our answer here. So that will be cats. What is the least? So least means the smallest, the small one. So how many do you see that looks small? So if you look at the fish, the block of the fish, you could see that it's only having 3 blocks. So that means the number of fishes in the house is the least, the smallest that we can have. So what is the least pets will be equal to fish. Now these are the 3 questions that were asked about the block data. In your own way, if you look at this block graph, can you make your own questions or any question out of the block as you look at it? Okay, so this will be a task for you to discuss in our Telegram group before we even go to our main task 1. I want you to start thinking about a question that you can make from this graph. I can give you an example. I can say that can we find the difference between that of the cats and the dogs? So that means we are finding the difference. The difference will be 1 because the number of dogs here are 5, whereas cats are 6. So this can be one of the questions that you can make on your own about finding the difference between cats and that of the dog. Okay, so make more of your questions. That will help you to also get more ideas for your first activity. Your first activity is at the learner's book, page 44. There is a graph there that is similar to this one. You are supposed to work on that, answer all questions, and then we will go to our second video. Okay. Students, welcome back to our second video. Our lesson is on sorting and representing data. So on this lesson, we've been using block graph to explain our data that we have. In this video, we are going to look at types of transportation system in our country. So we realized that we were going to concentrate on motorbike, car, bike, and that of a lorry, okay? So bike is bicycle, and then we all know what a motorbike also is. So these are the data that we collected on these kinds of transportations, and we have some questions that we have to use our graph to answer, okay? So the first one is how many cars are there? So that means we need to go to your graph and count the number of cars that you have. In this case, we're going to count the blocks because it's the blocks that we have used to represent the number of the kind of transportation system that we have. So we are looking for how many cars, and we can see 3 blocks over there. So we can say that there are 3 cars, okay? So we say 3 cars. Okay, so that will be our answer for the first one. The second one is how many kinds. Okay, so kinds means types. So how many kinds of transportation do you see on the block graph? So kind here means types. So we can see 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are 4 kinds of transportation system over there. So we say 4 kinds. If you have space, you can add the transportation to it. Okay, so we have 4 kinds over there. Difference between car and motorbike. So whenever you see difference, it means that we are dealing with subtraction. Okay, so difference means you look for the number difference between that of the cars and that of the motorbike. So let's find out. Let's check the motorbikes first. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 6 for motorbikes, and then the next one we check cars. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. We find 3 for cars. So that means we're going to subtract our 3 from the 6, and we're going to get 3. So the difference here will be 3. Okay, so that will be for our difference. There could be more questions from the block graph depending on how the person wants to ask you, or how we want to twist your mind for you to see either you understand the block graph that you are looking at or not. So please always, whenever you have a block graph, try to understand it very well so that you can answer all your questions well. Again, you can also develop your own skills of creating your own questions about the block graph so that whenever you meet a different situation, you know how you can always answer your questions correctly. You have your second activity that will be still from the learner's book, page 45. It's an interesting task there that I want you to sort it out. I'll see you in our third video. Students, welcome to our third video. On this video, we are going to do a kind of review or recap on our lesson for today. Our lesson has been on sorting and representing data. So sorting, we understand that sorting means you are doing groupings, okay? You are grouping them into various items that you are dealing with. So in our first video, we did a grouping of pets, okay? So that means we group our pets. We had cats, we had fish, we had dog, and that of rabbit. On our second video, we also did a sorting or a grouping on kinds of transportation. That was, we had car, we had motorbike, we had bike, and then we had that of a lorry. Again, we also use a block graph. So using a block graph is a way of representing your data, showing your data to someone to understand what you have. So a block data is a method of representing a data. Again, we also looked at how we can find questions from our graph and find the way to answer our questions using our block graph. Also, you have developed the skills of creating your own questions when you have a block graph, so that you can always know how to create your own block graph as well. So which I would say you have done very well on that. I would entreat you to read more about block graph so that you always get a better understanding no matter how the data might look like. As I said, in going forward, some of the features will change and we're going to use numbers instead of using blocks, which you still have to use the idea of counting your blocks, relating it to the frequency that you have on the other side, which will still make meaning to what you want to make. Your homework will be posted to you as you finish watching this video. I'd like to say thank you for joining this lesson, and I'll see you again next week.